I'm as the new U.S. president. Let me kind of like give you a state of the nation and what I think about what's been going on, what I've heard on the news, and so forth. The Donald Trump automaton has been criticized for what some say is a compromise on some of his positions, like having a fence instead of a wall in certain sections of his wall, or that he will not completely eradicate Obamacare, but will retain the clause to cover pre-existing conditions, or that he may not have an outright Muslim ban. This just indicates that he's trying to do what I, the true president, want. Because I don't recommend an outright Muslim ban. I recommend that we use scanning technology that would scan the emotions, the motivations, the memories, and the minds of all people in our country to determine who is a terrorist. And that way we get the true terrorist, because not all Muslims are terrorists. And as far as the wall, I mentioned this in a previous video, a wall would not be the best way to keep terrorists out of the country. The best way to keep terrorists out of the country would be a scan of everybody's brains using our ability to read minds to determine who is a terrorist. And obviously, any Angelina Ballerina Jesuit would be considered a terrorist. And they're the ones that are out there rioting and protesting against Trump right now. Those are mostly Angelina Ballerina Jesuits or her supporters or her brain controlled followers. She uses a lot of brain control to get a following. So, this Donald Trump's slight modifications of what he promised during the campaign trail. And he wasn't always crystal clear on what he would do during the campaign trail either. So you can't really accuse him of being a hypocrite. But I can see that Donald is trying to be closer to, he's trying to realign himself to do what I want. He's like my public spokesperson. And Donald was closer to my desires than Hillary, so I went with him. I voted for him in October. But in the areas where I differed with him, he's gone more my way, and I appreciate this. Regarding who he should appoint as Secretary of State, this is a very important position because it involves dealing with Vladimir Putin. It's very hard to pick someone who has not said bad things about Moscow, unfortunately. I think Trump is trying to pick a Secretary of State who will change their position on Moscow and will go more in my direction. I want us to get along great with Vladimir Putin. Ironically, that person may well be Mitt Romney. I'm not really sure at this point who would make the best Secretary of State. Mitt Romney has shown that he can do an about face on some of his positions, which is why he's changed his tone towards Donald Trump. Donald may be consulting with Romney to feel him out and see why he takes some of his stands. My guess is that Jesuits have threatened to harm his family if he wouldn't cave in. And that's why Romney was against Trump during the primaries. The fact that he came to Donald Trump so quickly after Donald won seems to indicate that in his heart, he is more tolerant and less belligerent than his outward appearance. His bravery to be so bold in his positions shows some guts, and I tend to trust courageous people more, even if I disagree with them, which is why I was so quick to forgive Zack when I realized he would choose love over ambition. Zack has always been brave, but Rudy Giuliani has been brave too, and I hear he may be a possibility for Secretary of State. I just want to talk about Angelina Ballerina. I see Angelina Ballerina as a coward. She has no true moral convictions and does everything with a cold hearted indifference to any type of morals, thinking her amorality, that is, her lack of morality, somehow makes her superior to those who have morals. Even Zack had morals as the Antichrist. He was true to his set of morals. It's impossible to be brave if you have no morals. Morality and courage go hand in hand. Angelina's only morals are to win whatever the cost, whatever she has to do, and she has a total disregard for any suffering she might cause. This makes her one of the ugliest women in all of human history. Though Zack Though Zack was often ruthless as the Jesuit leader, he did reward loyalty and appreciated those who had his moral positions. Angelina views all her followers with disdain and just considers herself above everybody. Though Zack was often ruthless as the Jesuit leader, he did reward loyalty and appreciated those who had his moral positions. Angelina views all her followers, like I said, um, she just views all her followers with disdain and just considers herself above everybody. She selfishly uses people to her advantage, and her only reward to them is to encourage them to be weak, selfish, and greedy, and to not punish her followers for being criminals. She rewards her followers with money and sex and appeals to their basest instincts. Zack also used money and sex, but he also looked for courage and agreement to his moral standards. Whereas Angelina thinks obsession with morals and courage are wasted and stupid qualities that get in the way of her bid for world power. And that's why she gets impatient with any of her followers who try to go on moral rants about anything. Though she will allow her followers to be social justice warriors, she does but she doesn't encourage any of them to be sincere in their beliefs, but to just take positions that further Angelina's goals to destroy her enemies like me. And she could change her moral positions from one day to the next, depending on whatever will work. With a total disregard for any type of morality, Angelina thinks she is above all types of morality and only takes shallow positions not well thought through, which she can change in an instant when it suits her. This makes her a coward who's mainly concerned with self-preservation. She would never willingly make herself a martyr for any cause. On the other hand, Zack Knight, when he was burning in hell from December 28, 2011 to February 14, 2012, he enjoyed burning in hell because he was making a statement to God that he would not suffer for his sins. He had a moral statement to make to God. Angelina has no moral statement to make. She just enjoys being evil and says things she does not mean, but that she thinks will work to make her the evil sex queen of the universe and to pacify Satan, who gives her her Antichrist powers. So how does this all apply to Romney? Well, Romney he seems to have some moral courage, and a lot of what he's saying comes from true conviction. Part of Mormon belief is a loyalty to family. So he may have played along with the Jesuit stand on Vladimir Putin, which is, to go be against Vladimir Putin, to protect his wife because of his Mormon beliefs. This shows that he has moral courage. On the other hand, President George W. Bush pretended to be what he was not, and yes, he protected his wife too, but in public he pretended to be a born-again Christian. This hypocrisy in Bush showed him to be a coward in some respects. And Bush did try to take my life under Jesuit direction several times. He was willing to pacify them to the point that he was willing to cooperate with them in murder plots against me. Though Romney seemed cowardly to go against Trump, his very quick response to embrace him as the new leader shows that in his heart of hearts, he really didn't want to go against Trump. However, Romney did go to quite a lot of lengths to go against Trump, so my guess is he's not going to get the Secretary of State job, but he might get another position, unless Romney can come up with a major apology that seems sincere for all the mean things he said about Trump, that includes a concession that perhaps it's better to get along with Russia than have World War III or another Cold War with them. I am sure Trump wants a Secretary of State who will not buck him when it comes to Vladimir Putin, because I am the president and we will not war with Vladimir Putin. Vladimir Putin is one of my staunchest allies. So I just wanted to give you my opinion about Angelina. My men are still working on a way to try to defeat her, and we welcome anybody with Mensa IQ or scientists who want to help us. Contact my men at gailsmen@yahoo.com. And those of you who are her sorry followers, I've already described you to a T. You're just addicted to sex and money and to being a criminal. and you have no moral standards like your leader, and you're all a bunch of cowards because your leader is a coward. Your leader would not be a martyr for anybody. She's totally self-absorbed and she thinks she's superior to all of you who follow her. Of course, she's not going to go out and say this, but that is her attitude. And if you could start going on social justice rants and so forth when you go out there, she'll probably tell you to shut up because you're getting in her way. She only likes the social justice rants if they help her. It's not because she believes in them. She just likes to spread propaganda that makes her enemies look bad. That's all. And makes her look like a virtuous leader when she's just a selfish coward and is only concerned with self-preservation as the Antichrist. The only person she's interested in pleasing is Satan, because Satan has given her her power. She already betrayed Rule 13, and Rule 13 is now a prisoner on her pink spaceship. The reason she's got Rule 13 as a prisoner on her pink spaceship is several reasons. She's hoping that she can get Zack Knight into her harem of husbands. But Zack Knight hates her guts right now because Zack Knight truly loves Rule 13, and he does not appreciate that Angelina Ballerina has tried to kill Rule 13. So, and she's also she realizes that by having Rule 13 on her spaceship, she thinks that that'll make it harder for Zack Knight to attack her because Zack Knight's not going to want to harm Rule 13. And there is some truth to that. That's why we need scientists to help us. So anyways, I just wanted to give you my 2 cents about Mitt Romney. I'm not sure about him. I would probably only accept him as a Secretary of State if he gives a good apology and shows that he's willing to be flexible about Russia and not be so dogmatic about being against Vladimir Putin. The only reason everybody's against Vladimir Putin is because they're scared of the Jesuits. The Jesuits are against Vladimir Putin, and they're scared to go against the Jesuits because everybody who's in politics today knows that Vladimir Putin is an anti-Jesuit world leader. So, and the Jesuits are used to being in charge of everybody and running the show and that's why they're against Vladimir. So, anyways, I'm having Mitt Romney as a Secretary of State might be a good move if we can get him to lay off on his rants against Vladimir Putin.